What's up everybody and welcome back to the YouTube video. Hope you're all well. I'm absolutely fantastic. Thank you for asking. We're back here with another sit down video. You guys seem to really enjoy the last one when we talk about a little bit about supplements. So today I want to talk about the cost of bodybuilding. I want to talk about the real cost of bodybuilding, the money out of pocket cost of bodybuilding, because there's no two ways about it, that there are things in bodybuilding that are going to make you spend more than if you were just a normal person on the street. So we're going to go through them. I'm going to explain them to you. If you don't want to compete in bodybuilding, there's still a lot of relevant things here, but there's still some extras for those guys who are going to compete as well. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the first thing here I'm going to put down is going to be food. Now, while the everyday person needs food, as bodybuilders, we probably need more food. We also probably need higher quality food. We also probably look to go for more meat, which is going to be more expensive. There are obviously very cheap ways that you can do this, but I spend about £320 per month on food. That's about £80 a week. We go for one shop a week, and that usually lasts me the whole week, and that will pretty much cover my protein, my carbohydrates, which I would tend to buy in bulk, like a big 15-kilo rice bag. So that will save having to buy a bag every single week. I've got no doubt in my mind that you could probably half that if you really wanted to. That's just what I spend at the moment. Then you've got basic things like a gym membership. I'm very lucky that actually the gym that I train at is an IFBB gym. So as an IFBB pro, you don't have to pay a membership. But before that, I was paying about £200 for 6 months. So if we divide that over 6, you're paying anywhere from 30, even in places like London, to £100, per month that you could do in the centre of London. So it's very easy, and I'm sure across the world as well. So you're going to be spending a good £50 a month there on just a gym membership, and that's obviously like a prerequisite to going toward bodybuilding. So then you're bodybuilding, and you think, I could do with some supplements. I've heard about these supplements. What should I do? Well, the bare minimum for a natural athlete, you've got creatine, and that's probably, if you really wanted to just have one essential, I think it would probably just be creatine, and that's because it's one of the ones that's been the most studied. It's got real data behind it that just shows that it really does work. Nothing like, bewildering. You're not going to get a 10-15% gain on this, but you are going to have those increased effects on having some extra creatine. But obviously, once you've tried with creatine, you think, I've heard about those pre-workouts. What are those about? Well, let me get a pre-workout. Well, then you're going to be paying anywhere from £25 to maybe £40 for that. And you're probably going to use one every day that you train, and that's, going to be another £50, £40 a month. But then, if you go further and further into it, you want to get protein, you want to get EAAs, you want to get some highly branched cyclic dextrin, you need to get some vitamins and minerals because you realize you're fat. You can very see easily that toll is now adding up. So then you're spending upwards of £100 a month. And then guess what? You get a little bit down the dark side of bodybuilding, and then you have to start thinking about, what are these anabolic steroids doing to me? Okay, so actually I need to get some bergamot, I need to get some of this, I need to get some of this, I need to get some of this, because now I'm facing these challenges that I wasn't when I was natural. Well, now you just added another £100 to your bill. So I think you'd probably be spending anywhere, if you were into, competing in bodybuilding and you're using anabolic steroids, upwards of £200 a month. I'm very lucky I have a supplement sponsor, so I don't have to pay for those things, which is, obviously I can spread that money elsewhere if I was going to spend it anyway. But of course you could pay up to about £100 if you're natural, and you could spend a fiver if you wanted to. You could just get some creatine off Amazon and you'd be good. So then you've been bodybuilding for a while. You've got, a great gym membership, great gym that you're going to. You've got some supplements. You're very happy with the stack that you've got, and you start making some progress. And then you want to go compete, and you think, right, I'm going to go compete. Let's do this. Well, do you get a coach? I currently pay, I don't want to say how much I pay, but you could pay for the privacy of the other person. You can get coaches these days anywhere from maybe £100 upwards of maybe £300 or £400, maybe even more in international coaches, right? But I think right around the average of £200 to £250 is right where you could be investing into a coach. Of course, a coach has a load of benefits. If you don't want a coach, right? Okay, you start your prep and you go forward. Well, guess what? There's show day. You've got to pay for a tan, which is £50 a time. If you do multiple show days, that's £50 a time. So you can add £50 for a tan. You could then think about anywhere from a £50 to €250 that I've paid before. I've paid multiple times in the season for bigger shows. For example, the one that I won, I had to pay €200 to enter it. So versus a local show, which is perhaps a little bit cheaper. I'm sure there's probably some free ones, but the big ones where you've got pro cards that are available, you often have to pay for them because they have to pay for the show. So you have to factor in that show day. Then you got to think about, where was that show day? Was it you know, 200 miles down the motorway, well, that's petrol, that's wear and tear, that's also bringing all your family and paying for, you know, all that kind of stuff. If you're going international, you know, you could pay anywhere upwards of £1,000 to £5,000 per trip. For example, I had to fly to Portugal, and then obviously my family around me had to come as well. Then I had to stay in Portugal for a week, for 3 days. Then I had to get to Alicante, so I had to fly to Alicante. Then I had to rent a car. Then I had to stay for a week in Alicante so I could, you know, be the best that I could be on that show day. And you can quite easily see how these strings of shows add up into the thousands, and people will spend thousands and thousands to you know, to do this, me being one of them. So you've got to consider that a little bit later down the line if that's where you want to go. So you can think about those flights, those hotels, the cars that you've got to rent, the stress you've got to put on people if they're coming to watch you is all part of that cost. And I think bodybuilding is one of like the most, you know, there's a lot of expensive hobbies. I think like karting, not at F1, like equestrian, you've got to, like, it's maybe not those expensive as those two, but it's an expensive sport. You've got to have that money to be able to even compete in it, which is strange, but we absolutely love it, don't we? So we're not complaining about it. Then as we start to transition, I think for natural guys, as we start to transition, you can look at blood work. Now, blood work's available for both people. I do think that you should be doing blood work at least once a year, even if you're natural. You could just get a full panel done. That's going to be about £200, you know? But if you're assisted, that's where it's going to start getting a little bit more expensive, because in my opinion, it's a mandatory. So I'm going to put it in this video because I hope that people are taking this or are watching this and taking this in who are using anabolic steroids and they go, fuck, I'm not doing that. Well, you should start. Blood work 4 times a year, at least, you know, if not more. It's going to be £120, you know, 4 times a year. You've got things like scans, you know, heart scans, kidney scans. I for one think you should be getting an echocardiogram done every year so you can see the structure of your heart change, you can see the thickness of the walls change, and you can just see, you can track that, hopefully not deterioration or changing in the heart, and hopefully it's all good every year. But you get ahead of these things, you can it's not, you know, you can quit. You don't have to die by the sword, you know, you don't have to just stay ignorant to these things, which a lot of people do. You could be paying upwards of £1,000 to £2,000 for those as well. That's per year. So, you know, you're paying, on average, if you're paying 100, you're basically paying, adding another £100 a month to your bill in order to take care of, like, you know, the structure of your heart, which is pretty important, which people don't do. And it's relatively easy to do privately. Again, if you don't have the money for that, you know, that's your own decision. You've got to think about those things and just take that into consideration when you're planning these things. Little things like health insurance. You don't really get health insurance without lying, and when, you know, God forbid anything happens, they'll be able to see that and be able to find out, you know, what's going on, because it will work out for your insurance. So we can't really get insurance as assisted bodybuilders, especially when I put mine on the internet. There's no hiding from it. So you can't get things like insurance. And you've got the actual side, the cost side of anabolics. You could pay anywhere from £35 a month from being on a cruise to upward of £200 a month if you're being on a blast with all the oils that you'd be putting in. Then you can think about growth hormone. That's another £250 a month probably. You know, I use a pen every 10 days. Pens cost me maybe £85. So, you know, it adds up very, very quickly. So that's, you know, even more to add to that total. So we'll segue into the final bit. And I was just describing to my girlfriend earlier what I was going to be talking about. And she goes, what, like cost of life? And I thought, that's a good thing to end with. There is a cost of life. And I think if you're natural, it's a very small cost. I still think that true, complete bodybuilding for the body for 20, 30 years is going to break it down eventually. Maybe you could do it for 10 years and then transition to something a little bit softer for the joints, but there's still going to be a minimal cost. And for natural bodybuilders, for me at least, like the pros of pursuing that kind of outweighed that cost, you know, so it was pretty fine. But then when you start to come into the anabolic side, there is a cost to life, there is a cost to mental health, there is a cost to people around you. Again, if that reward is good enough for this risk, you do you know, that's absolutely no problem at all. But let's not forget the cost of life. I don't want to ever come over like I'm glorifying or encouraging the use of these. I'm just trying to highlight the realities of it. And my own experiences as well. So we'll leave that there. If you guys enjoy this type of video, we could do this for other things. Don't know what else I have to spend in my life, but we could do these for other things. If you enjoy these types of videos, drop a like, drop a comment, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.